I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. Your session is now starting. Welcome to the
Cheers! Thank you
so much. Tell me why. Is it stress of house? Stress of
just
moving?
house, and then I have that live show this week, which I need to pick your brain about because like I've never done one before.
Wait,
and
you had a live show?
I have one on Friday, my first one ever.
Where?
At City Winery.
Oh my gosh. It's so fun doing shows there.
Is it? Okay, great. I'm just gonna try to stay positive, but I've just never done one, so I keep just being like, am I gonna get up there and be like a That's So Raven moment where I'm just like,
No.
you
Absolutely not. No, you were born for that. If you're like me, I chat more.
Yeah.
So you've never been in front of a crowd like that?
No. I've never done like a live show. I've been on someone's live podcast before, but I've never done
Are you
one.
gonna be by yourself?
Yeah, so I wanted to just like prove I could do it by myself, which is kind of
you can.
crazy, but
You can.
Just gonna try.
Okay, so City Winery this Friday,
Yeah.
you're doing your first live show.
yeah.
I mean, if you have the whole place set up, people have the audio and everything,
Yeah.
the tickets are taken care of. Like, you just have to show up,
I just have to show up and just like talk, right?
You're fine. You're fine. And you have a couple drinks before.
A couple.
Couple.
A couple.
There was a time where I don't know what I was doing. I know. I had just gotten over COVID.
Uh-huh.
But I still had like a scratchy throat, and I was like, I'm fine. It's just like I tested myself. I was negative.
Right.
And I went to do a show at Zany's, and I always take a shot of tequila before I go out.
Right.
And I went to take the shot, and they were like, Kaitlyn, Bristowe. I took the shot, choked on it,
Oh no.
started gagging.
No.
And you know me with throw up. And I was like, and they're like, Kaitlyn, here she comes. And I was just gagging, and I came out onto the stage like my eyes were watering, and I was just like, I'm so sorry, I almost threw up from a tequila shot.
But that's fine. I mean, like, who's the actress that everyone's obsessed with? Hunger Games. Sorry, why did it just escape me? Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence, yeah.
When she like wins every award, and she's like, "Hi, sorry, I just had 3 shots," and like everyone's like, "Ha, we love her."
She's so relatable.
Yeah, so you can just like, you and I have the luxury of being able to literally be ourselves, so you can just walk on stage and be like, sorry, I was just gagging.
I was just
tequila.
almost throwing up.
We're not like
sick, sorry.
Yeah.
I had to like bring out my negative COVID test and show everybody.
That's funny.
It was at that time where it was still a thing. But
You had to.
Oh, I'm excited for you to do your show.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hope
So
it goes
there's a
well.
lot coming up for you. First of all, let's introduce you. But
Hi.
I always do just start the
Me
podcast,
too.
and then I'm like, okay, we'll get there.
I forget.
So Shannon Ford, people would know you from Instagram mostly, but
Yeah.
you were on Very Cavallari.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of where you started.
For sure. That was like...
Is it?
100%. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it was like your Bachelorette. Yeah. It's like, I'll never not give that all credit where credit's due for
course.
just giving me the platform to
Right.
continue entertaining people online.
Well, because you were born to entertain.
Thanks.
I really believe that. And there's people who are born to do something. There's always some pivotal moment in your life where it happens. And
Yeah.
Where did you grow up again?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
What made you move to Nashville?
On a whim. Like, one of my girlfriends
Oh.
lived here. I was 21, still in college. I'd visited, and I was like, oh my God, I have to move to Nashville. But it was 9 years ago. So Nashville
shit.
was not
You moved
Bachelorette
here
capital.
9 years ago?
9 years ago.
Oh, you've seen everything change here.
But yeah, it like wasn't Bachelorette capital. Like, when I moved to Nashville, everyone was like, my friends were so confused. They're like, what are you, Hannah Montana, not telling us? Like, do you sing country music? You only came to Nashville to
that's
like,
only- yeah.
there was only like Roberts and like, you know, like the stage. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't the Nashville that we know now. And then within
Right.
like 3 years, it became that. And then all my friends were like, oh my God, I have to come visit you in Nashville. When before I was like, y'all should come to Nashville. And they're like, for what?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
That's so funny. And my sister came to visit recently, and the last time she had been here was 2006, and she was like,
Whoa.
what happened?
What
What
have we
happened?
here?
She had a field day with Nashville. My gosh. She like never drinks, and she had scrapes and bruises all down her leg because she fell, and like,
Oh my
she
God.
was pedal taverning and doing all of the things.
I am covered in bruises from head to toe from this
Why?
past girls trip that I went on. I can tell you
Where
exactly
were
why.
you?
I went to Florida with my friends, all my like best
What
friends
part
from
of Florida?
Nashville. We went to Jupiter. One of my girlfriends lives there.
fun. Yeah.
And we did a boat day, and I was just wreaking havoc on everyone.
Yes.
I was like on a lily pad. I was like, fight me! Who's gonna fight me? Like, I was unhinged. I was feral.
What were you on?
Alcohol
Tequila?
and just the good. I was just letting loose.
There is something about a beach, drinks, and a boat, or like being on the
Water,
water. where
rosé.
I get wild.
I was just convincing. I just said to myself, like, I'm going to just be, you know, I just like love when you can act like you're like 7 years old again.
Yes.
And I was like a
The
7-year-old that
water
wreaked
does-
havoc.
But the water does that to me. It's nostalgic, and I feel like a little kid in there.
Yeah.
And you just stop giving a about what you look like too,
100%.
because you're like, we're diving in the water and I don't care if I have makeup on or not.
Yeah, and it was all my girlfriends, like 7 girls, no guys. Like all my friends are like married with babies and like have known me for the past 9 years. So we were just, like I said, we're going absolutely feral.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, we went to the club. If there was a table, I was standing on
There's
it.
a club in Jupiter?
Yeah, this place called 123. There was like CO2 cannons, a guy playing saxophone. I was like, give me your sax. He was like, okay.
No,
Yeah. I have a video of me. I do, yeah. I was unhinged. I came back and James was like, are you okay? I was like, first of all,
No, I'm not.
No.
That's so cute. I feel like he just truly lets you be your authentic, most genuine self. Like, let your freak flag fly.
Yeah,
and do it all.
He's like, I cannot relate, but you do you, boo.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
because
it's nice.
Could you be with someone that was on your level?
I seem exhausting, so probably not. Probably
I
not.
feel like I'm exhausting too, and I feel like you guys are such a good balance. Like, I got to witness your sweet, sweet love. Not like making love, but just sweet love.
I got to witness your
I
sweet,
got to witness
sweet
you guys
love.
making sweet,
Bow.
oh my god, just a weirdo in the corner, like, just kidding. But I saw you guys at the Ed Sheeran concert.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I looked at Kat at one point, and I was like, they're like really in love.
Oh,
It's
we really
sweet.
are. We really are. We just got to convince the U.S. government, but we really are.
My gosh, that must be a nightmare.
Well, it's nice that I am, so outwardly about everything that I post so much. We have it like
You have
very
proof.
well documented that we are in love.
That's true.
We don't have to be like, I swear we like each other. I'm like, check out episode 1 called Once Upon a Time in Barcelona on my podcast. I go in detail from the day I met him.
That's
So it's like nice.
Wait, I want to know the story about how you met him, because for those listening or watching, Shannon is my friend in Nashville who has been on reality TV, who just has a podcast and just got the gift of gab, and you're very entertaining. And
Thanks.
You have been this firecracker since the day I've known you. And you were kind of like, you were dating somebody that we knew, and then you were like, but you've always just been you.
Yeah.
And
he let me be me too, by the way, which was always really
Yes,
nice.
he did.
He was the catalyst. He was the person that showed me, you should always be with someone that lets you be you, which
And
is
that's
really
cool.
nice. Like, couldn't compliment him enough on that. So
I feel like you had a very healthy.
totally. We had a healthy relationship, healthy breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you just do.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy because like you have like a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and I'm like, people would be like, he was like a season of your life. I'm like, no, I think there was a reason there for sure, because he did
Yes.
truly. I was used to do anything for men. Like I would like change myself, chameleon, into whatever I thought they would like sporty girl. It's me. Like what? I don't know sports. Like what? And
You
so
like show up with a baseball bat.
yeah, I'm like, go Cubs. And they're like, what? You're not from Chicago.
Like,
But
is
yeah,
that whose team it is?
yeah, he just showed me like, you could be with someone who fully lets you be yourself. And I this level of success I found in that period of my life was
Right.
so much greater because I was being myself. So
Isn't that funny?
Nice.
I feel like I beat a dead horse with that one, where I'm always like, you will find your passion as soon as you like align with being who you authentically are. I always
It's
do that, and I
true.
love hearing people's stories of doing that.
yeah, it's easier said than done. Obviously it took me a minute to get there, but
hot minute.
yeah.
But so when you met your last boyfriend, you were like, oh, I can still be me, and I'm loved for it.
We were friends first, which was nice. Yeah. I mean, so I was already like the walls were down in that regard.
Yeah.
And then we did the show together as well. And so that was just, nice because on the show I was always trying to like do this or do that. And he was like, just like be yourself. And I'd
Yeah.
be like, well, maybe I should say this. And he's like, it is reality TV. Maybe you just
Right.
like be yourself. And I was like, okay, crazy
What
concept.
do they call that? Like what a novel idea.
Yeah.
Just be yourself on a reality TV
no
show.
way. Yeah.
I mean, it is hard to do when there's cameras and everything. You're like,
Yeah.
where do I put my hands? I think a lot of people always think when they like are in a breakup that it can't be healthy. It has to be toxic for something to be wrong. He has to be an asshole for you to leave him.
People love to say what happened, and then you tell them, and then they're like, what really happened? And you're like, sometimes what happened is what really happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, that's just like the truth. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can say like, we grew apart. Sometimes this is, I remember I posted on Instagram when we broke up, and I was like cringing because I was like, I'm not Beyonce. Like, I don't feel like I need to release an official statement.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't want him to be out trying to meet someone, or me to be out, and then like the world be like,
Cheater.
yeah, whatever. And then like me have to feel like I have to explain myself. So I basically just said like, I have been guilty of this. I have seen the breakup post. I have seen this where I'm like, oh, we grew apart. Oh, we're better as friends.
I
like,
do remember this.
yeah. And I just remember being like, I am guilty of being like, but I can't wait to talk to her cousin's brother's friend who knows exactly what happened.
I'll find out.
Yeah, and then it's like sometimes you like that really is what happened.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people really do just grow apart. Sometimes people are mature enough, old enough, and just like respect each other enough to break up before you start resenting someone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and there were things that I'm sure I did that he did that don't need to be brought to the public light. But I remember thinking these are not huge things.
Yep.
But if I continue dating this person, I might find myself in a position where I resent him.
Yeah.
He might resent me, and that's my forever is not resentment. I don't want to be in resentment forever. That's not what I picture myself doing for the rest of my life, resenting the person that I'm supposed to be with. So
how do you go into your next relationship knowing, like, because I think resentment is really easy to have happen because sometimes you don't realize it's building until it's too late.
Slow burn.
It's a slow burn, resentment. So how do you go into your next relationship with like this open mind to, you know, accept certain things and love certain things about him, or is it just work when two people are? Well,
obviously relationships always work and compromise, but I mean, I also, and neither one of us, you nor I, have anything bad to say about the guy that I dated before this, but there were things that I loved about him that I will never, like, he showed me to be to someone that I could be myself around, whatever, but there were also the things that I found myself possibly about to resent him for, that I thought to myself, I'll make sure that in my next relationship I'm not with someone that has those qualities. Yeah. You know, so like I said, not everything has to be like spoken publicly, but you can just, you know, think of things that they did that you don't like that I'm like, that's now a deal breaker in my next relationship.
See, so how do you keep those negotiables and non-negotiables like strong in your like brain? How do you go? Because when you fall in love, it's euphoric.
I know.
They can't do anything wrong. I would never resent them. So how do you go into it? Like, let's say there was something your ex did that you're like, this is a non-negotiable. This is a hard boundary for me. It's a deal breaker. No. Right. If James had that, but everything else was the same.
I don't think I would, because like, I don't know. Like they were things that were like pretty big, like you know, just future related. Like he wanted things for his future. So I mean, when I was getting to know James, I remember thinking like asking him normal questions like, you know, what do you want to do with the rest of your life, or where do you see yourself like in life? And you know, my ex was so comfortable in like a really like slow paced life, and that is just not for me. And I'm like. Yeah, that next? You know, and so I met James and it was pretty apparent. So I was now seeking people who were not in the same mindset, you know.
Because you both really like to travel.
Yeah, we like to travel, and I just like, we both have really big aspirations for ourselves, and we hold ourselves to a high standard, and what all these things that just I was like, oh, clicks. Yeah. Now there are things about James, and I'm sure he would say the same about me, that I'm like, okay, in a perfect world, of course, we would tweak that, but then that's where compromise comes in, you know, like that's where you decide, like, I love this person so much, I'm so euphoric when I'm around him, I can compromise on some things. You're never gonna meet the perfect man that's crazy.
Imagine living in a perfect world.
Sounds so boring. Ugh. Imagine being like actually happy 24/7. It sounds exhausting. Also, if like our boyfriends and husbands didn't do a couple things to annoy us, what the we talk to our girlfriends about?
Oh, true.
You know what I mean? We'd all just be like, what?
I was just talking to one of my best friends on Marco Polo today, and we were like, a lot of men don't have this. Like, they don't have this friendship that they can just show up on Marco Polo and be like, so vent and talk about how your emotions and cry, and then be like, so how's your Tuesday going? Like, it's, you know, it's such a gift that women have to be so vulnerable.
It is true.
I wish guys had that for themselves.
So true. It's so true. Yeah.
I mean, like, what would I do without it? Without girlfriends? I don't know. Somebody told me the other day, they said, such a red flag when a girl doesn't have girlfriends.
Red flag.
And I was like, who doesn't have girlfriends? And he was like, I know a few.
I asked my current boyfriend, I was saying, I think I said like, it's such a red, and I really am a girl's girl, so I wasn't trying to get him to talk shit about any of his ex-girlfriends or anything, but I think I was saying like, it is such a red flag when girls don't have girlfriends. And he said, one of my exes didn't. And I was like, really? And he was like, no, like, she was like, yeah, like one of the ones that's like, I just like girls, and I just like don't get along that well. I'm just like better friends with guys, which usually I'm like, oh, better friends with guys. And you're like, no, she's like, I just never really like made any long lasting girl friendships. And I was like, one, I'm sad for her. I really genuinely am.
Absolutely.
For all the reasons we just said. And two, that's a red flag.
It really is. And it does make me sad for people like that, because I really don't know where I would be in my life, not only to have them now, or if I'm going through a hard time or ups and downs, but they really built and shaped who I am as a person through my 20s. Like, I had the best group of girls who were like
100%.
They were all either entrepreneurs or go-getters or like comfortable in who they were and working towards something, and they all had good hearts, and they all like wanted to lift each other up.
Right.
And I'm like, that shaped me.
That was the group of girls that I was just with on my girls' trip in Florida. They were all like, I was 21 when I moved here. They were all 26 to 27. And I told them on this trip, I'm like, you guys are the reason that I ended up the way I am now. Like, I am so thankful that I had those girls that were sometimes brutally honest with me. Like, you're being like crazy. You're being so annoying, or like, stop doing that. It's so immature.
Right.
Everyone knows what you're doing right now. And I'm like, do they? They're like, yes. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yes.
Yeah. I've had a couple girlfriends call me out where I'm at the time it hurt. And then later I was like, you only did that to better me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you weren't being a bitch. You were just doing that to help me.
There was this one time, like, well, first of all, always like talking over people. Still working on it every day.
Me too,
but
I do too.
Me has a podcast. Me interrupts everyone. I'm like, I'll just do solos. No, I'm kidding.
You're great at the solo episodes. God.
You're like, are you having a guest? It's anyone? I'm like, no.
No, I got this.
No, I can do it. I interrupt myself sometimes. My own train of thought I interrupt. But there was this one time. This is funny now that I know all these guys. So Sam Hunt, obviously very famous, very good looking country singer. When I first moved here, I was 21. He was single, and in his like
Did you have a Sam Hunt moment?
No, no. It just, this is a moment where one of my friends called me out in like the best way possible, because I moved here. He had like a couple songs on the radio, but was not mega famous yet, but has always been mega attractive. And and so I remember he was still going out to bars, though. He wasn't so famous he couldn't go to Losers and Winners in Nashville. And I was there, and I was talking to my girlfriends, and I had seen him there, and he was like over to the left or something. And I remember my girlfriends were to the right of me, and if you're watching this, it'll make more sense, but my girlfriends were to the right of me, he was to the left. My whole body was like turned towards him. Yeah. But I was like talking to my girlfriends like this, but I was like playing with my hair, whatever, like, you know, and my friend looked at me and she goes, hey, you look crazy. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, God. It is so obvious what you're doing right now. I remember being upset. Like, that's so rude. Like, no, I'm not. In my head, I was like, yes, I am.
Yeah, like, because you were called out, and it's sometimes embarrassing. Like, you feel embarrassed, but you're like, that only means I believe what you said is
it's true. Yeah. Just moments like that, those friends, I was like, you know, good looking out. Good looking out.
Because I feel like you probably thought about the next time where you're like, wow, yeah, pretty cool, Shannon.
It's just so obvious. I see girls now doing it. I'm like, oh, no, I wish I was closer. I would go tell you that you look crazy.
I've been told that a few times too. You look crazy right now.
You look crazy.
Oh yeah, I have one girlfriend, Jess. She's actually coming here to visit me in Nashville finally, and she is the one that through my 20s she would absolutely call me out if she was like, I'm really sick of you showing up late. So she was like, that's important to me, and I feel like you're disrespecting me. And I was like, what?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Shouts out to Jess.
Yeah. And she a couple times did that for me, and I was like, thank you. Thanks. Now looking back, that's a reason why I literally call her for everything now.
Good friend move.
Great friend move.
Great friend move.
Okay, wait. I want to get back to how you met James. So were you looking for love, or
no? Opposite. I was slitting it up. Yeah. Not to slut shame myself, but no, I was just having the time of my life.
Hey, I don't take this term slut as a bad thing. I'm like, slut it up.
I just was having so much fun, and I was single for about a year and a half, and I was at that point ready for a relationship. I'd worked on myself. I was happy to find someone, but I had been chronically ghosted to the point that I threw like a temper tantrum. Remember my friend Anna Grace? I was like, I can't do it anymore, and she was like, quit it, and I was like, I'm gonna, like, nah. And so one of my girlfriends, we'd gone to the Soho House in Nashville, and she was telling me, Marissa Daniel, I don't know if you know her, she's an incredible hairstylist.
Yes, of course I know her, yes.
Okay, does like all the most fabulous blondes and everything in Nashville.
She's really good, and she's sweet as hell.
So sweet, so hot. Oh my God.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Like stunning.
She was at Kittle Fest with us the other night.
Yes.
And I was like staring at her,
just the best person ever. And she was talking about, she's one of those girls that always goes on a solo trip. Like she just was also so cool, right? Like get cooler. You know, me, I would be like going to Spain by myself. Like, no.
I'll go to the Barbie movie by myself.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. We draw the line. Yeah. And so she was telling me about, she'd gone on plenty of trips before by herself, and she was saying she was going to Spain. I was like, oh, tell me what you're doing, where you're going. And she was saying, I'm going to go to Barcelona and then Seville. And then I really obviously wish I could go to Ibiza, but like, I don't think a solo gal should be going to Ibiza by herself. And I was like, no, Marissa, you obviously can't do that by yourself. And also, wait, hold on. Should I go with you on this trip? Should I go to Spain? And she's like, yes, first of all, please, that would make me so happy. But I leave in 8 days, right? And I was like, Yeah. And I tell this story, and I'll tell it again because if anyone's listening to this, I need to be completely honest. I was seeing this guy, and by seeing, I mean, I'd met him like twice and hung out with him and was enamored. Right. And we would FaceTime a lot. Like it was one of those, we'd FaceTime for like 3 hours. So I'm like, he's obsessed with me. Yeah. No, he probably was bored, Shannon. But anyways.
Well, that doesn't sound like, I mean, that would trick anybody.
Yeah, I agree. Very easily trickable, me. And so I was just, I was really into this guy, and he was an athlete, classic, and he was in his off season in California. And I remember I called Marissa. I was like, I'm going, planned it, started like getting my outfits together. And then like 4 days before, I was like, hey, I want to be completely honest with you. And she was like, what? And she was like, she was already like totally okay if you can't pull it together and come. I understand. And I was like, no, the only thing is I've been like talking to that guy, and she's like, yeah. And I was like, I feel like he might invite me to California in like the next couple weeks. And so like if I'm not in America, then he'll know I'm out of the country. Like listen to how insane I sound. Yeah. And then he won't invite me. Yeah. I was almost not going to go to Spain and meet the literal love of my life because I thought a guy might invite me to another state, which he like, did he? Spoiler alert, no. Like no, absolutely not. God, he did not.
How did she convince you?
She didn't. She was like, listen, she's such a freaking girl's girl. She was just like, listen, I get it. I've been there. Like, I know how it feels to like want to like make a connection with someone and want to be available for someone if they should ask. I get it. I was already planning on going on this trip solo. It's okay if you can't come. Right. And then I think maybe he didn't talk to me for 3 or 4 days in a row, which was like classic, And I was like, oh, you know what? I was like, I'm going to Spain. And so I booked the trip on Air Miles and was like, see you there. And then I just showed up in Barcelona. We literally the first day we were there, we were just walking the streets of Barcelona and walking down the street to dinner at like, I don't know, it's like 5 p.m. We were going to grab drinks and stuff before dinner, and we passed these 2 guys on the street, and I was like, I made eye contact with this one of them who was so hot, James. And
I was like, is it James?
It wasn't James. No, it was James. And she was like, oh my God, that guy. And I was like, that guy is so hot. I actually thought he was for sure Spanish because he's so tan.
He does look Spanish.
He doesn't look British, really. No. And it was like the middle of summer, so he was even more tan. And I remember just like making eye contact with him in like a slow-mo movie way, but like it wasn't a movie in the sense that like we just kept walking, you know what I mean? We didn't like stop and like we were just 2 strangers across the street. I was with a girl, he was with a guy, like guy friend, I was with the girlfriend. We just kept walking, and then went to dinner. I think maybe me and Marissa were just like, yeah, they were hot, and then kept walking. And then we went to get a drink, we went to dinner, we had more drinks after dinner, and it was a Tuesday, and I was like, listen, let's not force the fun. It's our first night, it's 11 p.m. time of death, let's call it. Let's go back to the hotel. So we were in at this point a totally different part of the city. We had already taken 3 different cabs to 3 different places.
Way. You ran into him again?
Yeah. So we were walking back to the hotel, and I was like, oh my God, there's those guys again. And she was like, yeah. And at that point, because we had like looked at each other, which now sounds so silly. We looked at each other, but like
there was a moment. Energetically, there was something there.
Totally. He like looked at me, I looked at him, and I was like, what do we do, Marissa? And she was like, wave. And I was like, smile. And we were like, smiled and waved. And then he was like, hey. And then we like walked over to where he was, because he was still, again, he was across the street. Yeah. So then we walked over to him, and he was like, we've seen you guys earlier, haven't we? And I was like, where are you from?
Yeah, what is that accent?
And I was like, where are y'all from? And he's like, where are you from? Oh, yeah, did you just say y'all? And I was like, yeah. He's like, people really say that? I'm like, yeah, I say that. You like it?
That's funny.
Yeah, so anyways, that's how we met.
That was just, you can't fight those stories, because you go, first of all, I think you told me something, or somebody said something to you about that guy who I didn't know who he was before, that you were kind of hanging out with twice. Yeah. But didn't they say something like if he wanted to, he would?
Yeah. Oh my God. And then I'm dating this guy now that he is the quintessential. And I hate to say cliches, but it's like, listen, they are cliches for a reason, and people repeat them over and over and over for a reason. There is a reason that everyone has live, laugh, love somewhere in a home at some point in their lives, because living and laughing and loving is fun to do. Okay? Like, there are reasons behind these things. So I am going to say, if he wanted to, he would, because that is so true.
I want to like drill that into all of my listeners and watchers like heads if they're going through something where they're like, well, he just doesn't seem that into me, or I'm like gonna wait for him, or blah. If he wants to, he will.
You guys, I almost didn't go on a trip where whether I'd met the love of my life or not, me and Marissa, did I just spill something?
No, it was I went.
Oh my gosh, sorry. I literally thought it just flashed. I was like, I would have still had the time of my life. We had the best girls trip ever.
But the fact that you met the love of your life. How long have you guys been together now?
Year and a half.
And he's the love of your life even more now than he was then.
I know.
Wow. Yeah. So he lives in London. You live here. You've had to do the long distance, but you just bought a house.
Just bought a house in Franklin.
And working on his getting to live here.
You get it.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's just a lot. You just have to, we have immigration lawyers and we're just trying to do it. We obviously want to do it all the right way. The way that, because I've heard all the horror stories that if you don't do it the right way, shit is hairy. So
it's not worth it.
It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of money, America. But it's worth it. Yeah. It's worth it all, and we'll just keep doing it the right way, and then one day he'll be here. That's the plan, though, for him to be here and for us to live happily ever after.
That's so cute. How does his family feel and friends feel about him coming? Because that's not just like a hop, skip, and a jump. That is like.
Well, he's lived not with his family. He has lived in London his entire life. His family lives in London. His friends live in London. So he has the luxury of being 15 minutes away from his family his entire life. Whereas like I moved away at 21 and I've been 7, you get it? Like I've been 7 hours away from my family. So I think his parents, are just so wonderfully happy for the both of us. And
cute.
It's really sweet.
That's awesome.
Why did I wear this wool sweater?
I think it's all the lights in here and cameras and heat and.
It's July 31st. It's
100 degrees outside.
It was
and
not smart to wear
I'm in a full sweatsuit.
Yeah, wait, we both are.
I'm in an absolute full
We both
sweatsuit.
are. I don't know what my spray tan's like really bad, and I'm trying to wait to get a new one until my live show. So I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll wear a wool sweater.
And show some leg. Bruised legs from your.
Show me some bruised leg. I'll just show you the
dress.
bruise on my ass when we're finished with this because it is.
Oh, I always bruise on my butt really bad.
Got its own zip code. And when James was like, "How'd you do all that?" I was like, "I will literally tell you exactly how."
It's called a lily pad.
Yep.
And I was doing bum drops on
kept on wrestling people. I really was.
So funny.
One of our friends was pregnant, and I was like, "You!" And she's like, "Shannon." I was like, "I'm kidding." But maybe.
Are all your friends, they must be so happy for you too because they're all like married with kids and it's not like you're not shamed for not doing that. No. It's just like exciting to get to the place where you are like, okay, now it's the next phase of my life.
Yeah, it's cool. But I also, people ask me all the time because, my best friend Taylor has 3 children at under 30 and, happily married for the past 5 years. And she's like, people are like, how are y'all so close when you were in total different phases of your life? I'm like, I don't know, because we just be like, with each other. We're just friends. You don't have to be in the same, phase of life. You and Kat,
I was just going to say that.
You don't have to be in the same phase of your life to be good friend. That's a real friendship.
You have the friends that are in your life for the same season of as you. You have your real friends.
Yeah.
Who like Kat, pregnant right now and has a 1.5-year-old.
Right.
And she's like one of my most favorite people to be around.
Right. All my friends aren't influencers and podcasters.
Right.
Like some of my best friends are nurses and teachers. And I relate to them so much. The only thing we don't relate on is our jobs. Yeah. So why would I? Yeah. You don't have to be, it's like dating someone. You don't want to date the exact same person as you.
No.
No.
I always think that. I'm like, I could never date a Kaitlyn.
Yeah. Just dating a Shannon seems fun.
Fun.
For a
good time, but not a long time.
But not a long time.
Okay, did you guys hear me last week talk about the roasted eggplant I made last week? I'm still drooling over it. So if you didn't love me bragging about it, then this is me warning you that I'm going to brag about it again. This time, I poached a freaking egg. Okay? That is a new one for me. I always thought that was impossible. You could only do that at fancy restaurants. But again, I'll admit it, I didn't learn on my own. The one and only Gordon Ramsay, again, taught me how to do it because I have Masterclass. So with Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best anytime, anywhere, at your own pace, which we love. And you can find practical takeaways to apply to your life, like poaching an egg, and at work. So if you run a business, you can use Masterclass to help your team. There's several classes that I've seen on there that I want to take to gain some major knowledge for spade and sparrows. And it's not daunting. It's really not, because you can gain these new skills in as little as 10 minutes on your phone. That's what I usually do. Computer, tablet, smart TV, and even audio mode if you want to listen on the go. So you may be asking yourself, how much would it actually cost to take one-on-one classes from the world's best? Well, with Masterclass annual membership, it's only going to cost you $10 a month. So get unlimited access to every class. And right now, as an Off the Vine listener, you can get 15% off when you go to masterclass.com/vine. That's masterclass.com/vine for 15% off an annual membership. Masterclass.com/vine. You visit London a lot. I mean, I was in London when you were there and we got to hang out.
Yeah. Obviously, we got to go back and forth, and I love London. London reminds me a lot of New York. So I'd never been to London one time before. So basically, James and I, met in Barcelona, had a one night stand, and then like wouldn't leave each other alone for 5 days. And then I came back to America, was like, oh, I'm just gonna think about, I literally thinking I'll never see this man again for the rest of my life, but I'll be married with 3 kids thinking about him for the rest of my life. Like, I'll be like that old lady with the cane that's like, let me tell you something. Now, don't tell your grandpa, but there was this boy. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, that'll be my life. Yeah. And then, we just kept in touch. We kept FaceTiming, and he was immediately like, when can I see you? When can I fly you out? Like, I was like, oh my God. And so I went to London like 2 weeks later and met his family. He was like, I'd love for you to meet my parents. I was like, oh my God, oh shit, might be a serial killer. This is so weird.
He either really likes me or he's a serial killer.
Yeah. And then it's just if he wanted to, he would. So anyways, we just started seeing each other, and I had never been to London. I remember I didn't tell him that because I thought he would think that was really weird. And then when he got there, he's like, so have you been to London before? I was like, never. And he's like,
you had never been?
No.
Cute.
Yeah, it was sweet. So I got to see
you like fit perfectly in London with your style and like
we hung out in London.
Yeah, it was so fun.
It was so fun. I love London.
We had a really fun day.
We got to come back. Doesn't it feel like New York kind of to you, but like more proper and clean?
Yes. It feels exactly like that.
Yeah, it's just like buzzing and like awesome. But he's so jazzed to be in Franklin. He's like quiet. Because imagine living and growing up in London / New York your whole life. It's loud.
Really great that he wants to do that with you too. Because some people would be like, I'm not moving out of London. Like this is where I'm from. This is where I live, and this is my like.
Totally.
And they might like that hustle and bustle of everything and the buzz. And then so it's great that he's like Franklin.
Right. We had to have like a lot of more serious conversations a lot sooner than most people. Yeah. Like Taylor always says, like, y'all happened really quick, really fast, and anyone that, because of course you got the naysayers that are like, y'all are moving pretty fast, and Taylor's like, you didn't meet him at the bar in Germantown. You guys don't get to go on, you don't have the luxury of going on 13 dates before you say you're in the talking phase, and then meeting all of his friends and family. It's
and
like
then The Bachelor, it's speed dating.
Yeah,
and you have more serious conversations quicker, and you get to where you need to be quicker, and there's no games
so
involved.
True.
It's and why do people care when people are happy? Like, if that makes you happy, I don't get it.
It's the craziest thing when people are like, couldn't be me. I'm like, good thing it's not.
You have a platform, you have a podcast, you have an Instagram following, so you are meant to be the certain people other people expect you to be, but then they're like, but you're following us because you
100%.
Because we're not like,
you're following us because we're not following the status quo, but you want us to follow the status quo and you don't like when we don't, but you do follow us because you like when we don't do it. I'm like, live, laugh, love. I'm exhausted.
Live, laugh.
No.
Toaster bath.
Literally.
I like to say.
Toaster bath.
I love it. Okay, well, every step you're going in is the right direction.
Every step
You've lived your life.
take.
Sing it. Add the music to the background. Every move you make. Move to Franklin.
Yep.
With the love of your life.
Facts.
You're a homeowner now.
That's crazy.
Isn't that the best feeling though? But let me just prep you for being a homeowner.
Please do. I'm already stressed. Termite guy came today. I was like, I'm in charge of this.
Be okay with being stressed for the rest of time because, well, no, you have a new build.
I got to get rid of these sweaters.
There's just always something
sweating already
to be done.
Yes, and that I noticed. It is like I have rented for the past 9 years of my life, and it's my garage door the other day was like sticking, and I picked up my phone to text my landlord, and I was like, oh
wait, this is my problem now.
I am the landlord.
I'm
the landlady. Yeah. I was like, oh no. So then I'm Googling like, why is my garage door sticking, clicking,
Did you figure it out?
Yeah.
I know how to help with that. Was it the sensors?
Nope.
Oh.
It was me.
Oh.
just doing it wrong.
I just wasn't pressing the button.
Didn't grow up with a garage. Grew up in a trailer. We didn't have garages.
I do love that you grew up in a trailer.
Love it.
That says a lot. I feel like that builds some character.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Also, it was like fabulous. My mom is like such a like interior queen, and like I also didn't know we lived in a trailer for the longest time. I think I maybe even told this on my podcast with you. I just like didn't know. I came home when I was like 7 or 8, and also they've added like a really nice screened-in porch to it. So it's like the bank still does not consider it a home. It's still a mobile home, but it's nicer than that. Okay, like, guys, it's nice.
I could totally live.
No, it's fabulous.
In a trailer home. I could.
Our washer and dryers in our kitchen is fine. Mm-hmm. And so I, my whole life I love it. Like when I go home for Christmas.
I didn't have a washer and dryer in my apartment
for
like
really?
10 years.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
But I, Yeah, I came home when I was like 9 or 10. I don't know, old enough for bitches to be mean to you in middle school or something.
Yeah. Oh,
and
God.
I came home and like the blind confidence and then just like pure happy childhood that I had.
Yeah.
Like my parents like gave us the world, and
Yeah.
you know, I obviously knew when we go to the mall, like I ain't going to Limited 2. Like my mom's like, that's cute. Look around.
Pay less.
We'll find something like it somewhere else. Cute. Bye. And so, yeah, I knew things, but like, I remember I came home and I was like, Mom, get a load of this. And we grew up on the lake, which is a really nice luxury. Like the mobile home was on the lake, beautiful lakefront property. And I was like, I think on a raft with my mom in the lake. And I was like, get a load of this. The girl Rachel from school, she said we live in a trailer. And my mom was like, well, that's not very nice. And we're in the lake, so we're staring at our home. And I'm like, and my mom's like, well, that's not very nice, because it seems like Rachel might have been saying that in a not nice way.
Right.
But we do, honey. We do live in a trailer. And I was like, what? We live in a trailer? And she was like, yes. She was like, that lattice siding your father put up, there's wheels technically under there. And I was like, you're kidding me. I was like, oh my God.
I just picture 9-year-old Shannon
just losing her goddamn mind.
And then what did you do to Rachel on your next day at school? Were you like, actually, bitch, we do live in a trailer.
I don't know. I probably
front.
rubber glue would bounce off me, sticks to you. Now you live in a trailer, Rachel. Ha ha. She's like, no, I don't. I'm in Limited 2 and I have a frog above my garage. We have a playroom. I'm like, a
You're
playroom.
like, well, that doesn't build character.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
You know, joke's on you, and now you're like, you probably appreciate all the stuff you get now because you worked hard and you are where you're at and you just bought a house.
Yeah, you buy a house. And also it's just like, I don't know, like I don't
Rock lives in a trailer.
Love that about him. I also just like I don't want to deal with the garage clickers. So like shouts out to trailers for not having them.
Yeah, smart.
Great plan.
Yeah. In fact, why don't I move into one?
You know what?
I feel like
this house is up for sale.
When I do simple things, like when I just go home to like Leduc and just like have a night in of just like, you know, grilling with my dad and sitting down, and I'm like, it's the simple things that like really make me happy.
My parents are the happiest people in the world, and my parents are not poverty stricken. I don't want to like make that my shtick. I just mean like
great.
They're just genuinely the happiest, most fulfilled humans ever.
You know why? Because
they're live, laugh, loving.
Yeah, they're live, laugh, loving.
I don't think my mom has that anywhere in the house. She has other things that are like, family is everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like,
home is where the heart is.
It's our mess. It might be a mess, but it's our mess. Mom.
Just like kitchen.
Shit out of here. Yeah. Thank God.
Hey, I kind of have one on my fridge. I have a magnet that says, if we're not meant to have snacks at night, why is there a light in the fridge?
Great point. Great point.
Live, laugh, love.
That's the name of the episode. Live, laugh, love with Shannon Ford.
Or live, laugh, toaster bath with Shannon Ford.
Toaster bath.
So one of the main questions I always get asked, I'm sure you do too from living in Nashville, is what to do when you come to the city.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have like a list that you have to send to people? Like I have a whole spreadsheet.
Oh my God, that's so nice.
Yeah.
I used to, and
we updated. It's great.
I've fallen it off a little bit because there's something new in Nashville every week. And I feel like have you been to a place called Layer Cake? Everyone's always like, I got lit at Layer Cake. I'm like, oh my God, is that like the Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah.
And they're like, not at all. It's like a club where people are like on their shoulders and thongs. And I'm like,
what?
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. It's like a club. I think it started somewhere else too. Like we have a bottled blonde coming. Like it's getting like Clearby.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want that.
Yeah, it's coming.
I guess I don't have to go, but
you don't have to go. But
Layer Cake.
I'm not adding it to the list. I'm trying to think of something that I just like love to do. I have a list-ish, but it's more so about like food. I love food.
Okay, we'll ask you specific questions. Do you have a favorite rooftop bar?
You know what? I think something I tell people all the time. I really love. Well, I just recently went to the One Hotel, but that's new-ish, and I really like their. I love any One Hotel.
Espresso martinis and sushi.
Yes, and James and I went the other day. It was fabulous. And then I will always tell anyone, and I don't care how quote unquote basic it is. I think the Hampton Social has a fabulous rooftop bar. It's really beautiful. You can order shots. They come in a guitar that's lit on fire. It's just cool.
What?
It's got sparklers on fire, but like
that's cool.
Kind of is.
Okay.
Just really like that one. You can see
like tourists would love that spot too.
Yeah, you see the view, and it's like it's never too busy. Like,
and there's water right there too.
Yeah,
like
it's beautiful to look at.
It is beautiful. Okay, what is your favorite sushi place?
Favorite sushi place, 100% Sunda.
What?
Sunda.
I do love
Sunda.
Sunda.
I love Sunda. You know what I wish Sunda would do?
Crab garlic noodles. I can't do sushi when they have crab garlic noodles.
You don't. They don't put it on the sushi.
What?
crab garlic noodles?
No, that's all I want when I go there.
Oh, I'm like, they don't put it on top. Oh yeah, no, it's true. That one, it's hard. And then you're eating the crab garlic noodles, and then you still want the sushi. I get it.
So good. I'm actually shocked by that answer though, because I thought you were gonna say Oku, and I wanted to say it at the same time as you. You like send
I've never been
sushi?
to Oku.
What?
Never been. Should we go?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm taking you.
Okay.
I'm taking you on a date to Oku. It's the best
I would love
I've
that.
ever been to. Actually, last time I went, some girl at the table across, she was like, Kaitlyn? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I only come here because you
No way.
She was like, I'm in from out of town and you always talk about Oku. And I was like, is it not the best? She was like, it really is.
What a full circle moment. I love that.
So Oku.
That happens to me when I'm at Tin Roof.
Yeah, well,
Love the sushi there.
they do not have sushi.
I wish they did.
God, no.
I wish they did. I wish airplanes serve sushi.
No.
Someone messaged me one time. I was at a New York Rangers game and I was eating the sushi at a hockey game.
Did sushi at the New York Rangers game?
Yeah, and someone wrote to me and said, the locations in which you eat sushi give me severe anxiety.
Yes, because I have a fear of throwing up. I feel that.
True. You do. I forget about that.
I get so scared about bad sushi.
Yeah.
A hockey game?
It was cold.
Was there fish in there or was it vegetarian? Because then I would eat it.
Fish.
Ugh. Ew, rink fish?
You know that's someone's nickname on the hockey team.
Yeah, rink fish.
Rink fish.
That does sound like something someone would
100%.
Yeah. Okay, best hot chicken in town.
I'm not a hot chicken girly.
Yeah,
I just like, why would I want to have diarrhea for 3 days? You know what I mean?
I ate a spicy chicken sandwich from, not Chipotle.
I love spice.
Chick-fil-A. I had burning diarrhea, like my butthole was on fire.
100%.
I've never had that before. I eat spicy shit all the time. I ate one spicy chicken sandwich and I was like, I'll never do this again.
Asian spice does not bother me. Hispanic spice does not bother me. It's that American down home Southern spice that just really me.
Yeah.
My mom's born and raised in Louisiana, so like Cajun spice, which is like really like French influence, doesn't bother me that much, but Cajun. It's that like Southern hot chicken. I'm just like, ugh.
You're right.
I have too many hemorrhoids for this.
Yeah. It does hurt my butthole a lot.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. Favorite place for like a fancy, really good cocktail?
I'm a sucker for the LA Jackson, which is the rooftop. Oh, another great rooftop.
That is
the rooftop on the top of Thompson Hotel.
Yeah,
love that one.
That is a good one. Okay. Favorite spot for live music?
So I would have normally said something more local, but Claudia Oshry, Girl with No Job, anytime she comes to Nashville, she's like, we're going to the stage. And I'm like, I'm so not interested in this.
Is amazing.
But I'm like, I love you. Looking at the joy within your face to go here is fun. I'm like, now I'm like, this stage, we got to go to the stage. It's just.
They do have great live music.
You're just going to have a fun time.
Yeah.
It's just, you're guaranteed going to have a good time.
And
so the
guaranteed
stage.
Great
music. I mean, if you're singing on Broadway, you are incredible.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Okay. Best place for a bachelorette party to go?
I mean, I think as a group, you want to try to find places that can accommodate big groups because that's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
So again, Hampton Social is great for big groups, but I think if I was thinking like a group of like 7 or 8, is San Anejo still a thing? I love San Anejo.
Oh, I do too. I was there not long ago.
I think it's great. Nada is great. I don't know why I'm like on a Mexican restaurant kick, but I just think it's like really cute, really Instagrammable, great food, great cocktails, and really accommodating for large groups.
Okay, I love that. For your podcast, probably a podcast, do you do a lot of in-person recordings in Nashville, or
I only do in person.
You only do in person.
I've only ever done a Zoom one time, and it was with Anna Grace, who's my best friend, so it's fine. But I don't know why. Like, I need to do more Zooms because I could probably have better guests on. Not that my guests aren't great. I mean, like, I could have more guests more often. But I just love in person.
I do too. I feel that. Your audience probably loves your solo ones too because they're tuning in to hear you.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, I feel like someone mentioned that it feels like a FaceTime, and I'm like, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I love just like feeling like I'm on FaceTime with someone.
That's cool. That's what I love too. If people say it feels like you're just hanging out, giggling with your girlfriends, I'm like, that's amazing. Why did you start a podcast?
I started a podcast originally with my really good friend Mary Carlisle, who I was just in Florida with, and it was like during quarantine, and she was like, I feel like we should do this. Yeah, and I remember at the time being like, oh my God, Mary Carlisle, but like we can't have a podcast. Everyone has a podcast, like, and that was 3 years ago, and now it's like it's that internal battle of being like, I want to be different and cool. Newsflash, nobody is that different or cool. Like even Lady Gaga's kind of doing what Madonna did. Like you know what I mean? Like point. Madonna's doing what someone else did.
Everybody inspired. I take it as like I probably inspired people to do a podcast. I was inspired to do a podcast.
I say this. I said this in my podcast episode I had with you on it. I said anyone who did a podcast is copying Kaitlyn Bristowe because you were the first person other that wasn't an educational. When I thought of podcast, I thought of like lecture based things, like educational based things. You were the first that I know of, and I know everything. So you were the first like entertainment-based podcast. And I remember when you did one, I was like, so what does she do? She does this once a week. So like she has different people. And it's so interesting. It's like a talk show, but in her living room. Like I just remember being like, what's a podcast? Like, and you were one of like you were on the forefront of it. And you're very inspiring, obviously very successful and very good at what you do. And thanks. I remember at the time thinking like, I can't do this. Everyone's going to be like, oh, another influencer doing another podcast. And I says to myself, think if you didn't do that. Like, think if you let that stop you.
It's true.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's the same way as if you didn't go to freaking Barcelona.
Yeah.
You got to do what's pulling you to do it. If that sounds like a fun idea to you and it sounds like something that you feel like you would love doing, like do it for you. Yeah. If nobody else
doesn't work out, it's fine. Me and Mia Carl ended up stopping doing our podcast. We ended up stopping doing our podcast. We're still best friends. Nothing dramatic there. She just was like, I'm moving to Florida. And like I said, we really like in-person stuff. She was started a family and she was on a different journey. But I remember thinking like that to me for a brief moment in time felt like a fail, right?
Totally.
I fail, whatever. And then even so, like if you decided to start a podcast and then it didn't work out, like it does not mean it's a failure. Look at me. No. And now I still do my podcast 3 years later. Yeah. Like I'm doing a live show on Friday. Like it wasn't a failure. It was just the, door that closed for the window to open.
Okay. I have one more game for you before I get a confession out of you.
Okay.
This is kind of like a dating, like for you and James kind of thing, but you get to, he's not here, so you can say whatever you want.
Okay.
But it's called Probably Shannon or Probably James.
Okay.
So since you and James are really hot and heavy right now, which I think you always will be.
I hope so.
I think so.
He's also just hot. It's really humbling to have a hot boyfriend.
But he's also such a doll.
I know. I'm like, you're that hot and you don't cheat on me? That is crazy.
I mean, you read about it, but
you read about it.
It's true. Your Instagram is probably Shannon. Your podcast is probably a podcast. Now we're playing a game. Probably Shannon.
The branding is just really sticking, so I like it.
I like it too.
Also, the abbreviation for my podcast that sometimes I get with Dear Media or like random like ad-based, like back end stuff. They'll be like, "Hi, just regarding PAP," and I'm like, "Ooh, not the PAP."
Not the
Me,
PAP.
I'm hiding my panties underneath my shirt.
Why do we hide them?
Why do we do it? She's about to be wrist deep in my ovaries.
Yet I'm turning over my sunny side up panties. I know, it's so weird. I do it every time too. But same thing with like a spray tan. Like
I just want them to think I'm clean. I just want them to think that's nice. She folded those.
Right.
I don't know.
I feel like a slob if I just leave them like, ew. It was a gross noise to make. I hated that. Okay, so who is most likely to get lost while driving?
Probably Shannon. My friends make fun of me all the time.
Really?
Yeah, like living in Nashville for 9 years and I'll still put in my GPS how to get to the airport. And Taylor will look at me, my best friend, she'll be like, you need to be a part of a clinical study. This is crazy.
Well, and there's like signs everywhere that says like
with the little airport with a plane on it. I'm like, but what if?
But I put on my GPS all the time too because I go, what if they give me a faster route?
Yeah, no, I just don't know where I'm going.
Route or route?
I would say, whenever I texted you today, I said en route.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay, plan a romantic date.
James.
Aww.
Oh, he's so sweet. He's a Cancer.
Oh, I love a Cancer crab.
Cancer crabs, we love him.
Okay, who is more likely to forget an anniversary?
Probably James.
Okay.
Actually, no, it would be a toss-up. Probably James just because he's doing a million things and he might like. Probably James because he's a boy, you know. But like probably Shannon because she doesn't put anything in her calendar. Producer Courtney, my producer for my podcast, texted me today and said, "Just so you remember, you're going to Kaitlyn's podcast today, right?" And I was like, "Duh,
of course I knew that,
and I obviously know that."
Canceling
4:00
other plans.
I was like.
That's God bless Maggie over here because she runs my schedule and I
God bless them.
She said to me this morning, she goes, "What is this? You have a calendar invite, but it's an invite for 9 a.m. but it's between 2 days. Like I don't get what day this." And I was like, "I can't work."
You said, "Don't
cannot work
ask
a calendar."
me.
Who's more likely to initiate sex?
Probably James.
Oh.
That man is in the gym 24/7. And he like talks about it often in his little like educational things about health and fitness. That's what he does for a living.
Yeah.
And he always talks about how like when you go to the gym as a man, like you are like the testosterone is just absolutely like
skyrocketing.
Yeah, he's just always just helicoptering that thing around. And I'm like,
Who's more likely to come home with a puppy?
Probably neither of us, because we both want a dog so bad, and we talk about it like I want to say 3 times a week, thrice a week. And we're just like we travel too much and we love dogs too much to not like be able to take care of them.
I get that.
You know?
I get that. But I have the like Maggie or a house sitter when they come here. The person that comes watches the dogs loves them almost as much as me.
And you didn't get your dogs as puppies. I feel like if you have a puppy, you really gotta you had to train your dogs too, actually.
I did
with the
have to train
circumstances.
them.
I get that, but you're like actually maybe more than a puppy. But
Pinot shit everywhere when we first got him. And golden retrievers are usually so easy to train. And Pinot is like he cannot figure out to go to the bathroom outside. Now he'll hold it for bless him. He will to the point where he'll like look at me and he'll be like, and he won't bark. He just goes.
Oh no!
And then I'll like let him out and he look at me and he's like,
oh,
so
bless.
Sad. Okay, last one. Most likely to pull a prank on the other one.
Me. Oh my god, I have this whole for my live show. I have a whole segment where I just.
Is he gonna be there?
Yeah. I have a whole segment where I just talk about all the pranks I like to pull on people. I'm obsessed with pulling pranks on people. Yeah, it's really weird.
What's the best prank you've ever pulled? You need to do one with Adley on Instagram.
Oh yeah, there was a time during quarantine where I just realized this where she was like, we should do something together.
You have to.
Gosh, yeah, that just like unlocked my memory box.
I just had her on my podcast. She's amazing.
She's hilarious.
She was talking about all the pranks they do, and I'm like, oh my god.
No, I love pranks. I don't know. I love any prank. I'm non-discriminating towards prank. I mean, I
feel that.
I really one time I got a scratch off ticket for a friend, but I didn't really know she was in like a financial hardship in her life, and it was like a fake scratch off that said she won $40,000, and I thought she was gonna be like, yeah, let's order champagne, let's go to Prada, like we're in New York, and she was like just listing off all the bills she was gonna pay off, and like I was like, oh no, oh no, yeah. You gotta do market research before you prank.
You really have to read the audience. Okay, and then last but not least, I feel like you're gonna have a good confession for this podcast.
Okay, confession. Do you get the option?
Okay.
Do you want poop or pubes?
Pubes.
Okay. Mine.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Figured.
So So carpet matches. Drapes. So it matches. Oh my god! When I was younger, I used to be like, I used to think I was so funny. You live this life as a redhead, and you have to like come up with all these like responses to all these annoying things.
Yeah.
And when I was in like, dare I say middle school, I was a bus rider, so I just was learning things way too fast. And I remember, I don't even think I had pubes yet. And like someone was like, does the carpet match the drapes? And I remember I thought I was so smart. I was like, hardwood floors. Like what? I was like, yeah, not only am I
great response.
Thanks. But I was like, not only am I funny, I'm also sexy. Like what? Like bitch, you are in 8th grade. What?
In 8th grade, I thought like a bush was cool.
Yeah, I'm sure. I also was like such a late bloomer. I was like pretending to get my period. Like now I'm like, why were you doing that? I would like bring tampons to school and like let them fall out of my bag. I'd be like, oops, I dropped my tampon.
I did that too. I like thought I was a woman because the girl who I didn't grow boobs till like, well, I still have, I'm waiting, but I didn't grow boobs till like after high school. And this girl in junior, whatever you guys call it, middle school. But this girl grew boobs in the 6th grade, and all the guys were like, ugh. So then I was
There's always one. I was so jealous of her.
Oh, I know.
Just remember her. I'm like, oh man. She was like, I have to wear 2 sports bras to hold them down. I was like, 2 sports bras. 2 sports bras.
I wore 2 sports bras just so that
get extra padding.
No, just so it wasn't a little poke of a bee sting. Like it was
when you
like
have like buds.
Yeah. It was just like puffy nips from like hormones, and I just like that's why I literally wore 2 sports bras. Okay, so you had pubes. So you didn't have pubes. What's going on?
Sorry, we're really off track here. Okay, so I'm much older at this point.
Yeah.
I'm in college, I think. Yeah, I think I might be in college, a little bit after college, I don't know. And I had like gone home with this guy who had roommates at the time because we were all like 20, 21. And I did not know I was going to go home with him. It was like a go home after the bar kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I've got to maintenance some things down here. And so I went to the bathroom in a panic, and I was like, okay, this is probably not the move.
Oh no, did you dry shave?
But no. Oh. I was just like, I've got to use his razor. Like, I've got to find a razor in here that's his and use it because I got to.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure he puts it on his face, but I was like,
Sure.
don't care. So found a razor, thank God, used it. Thought remember thinking to myself, I am going to I was hitting it on the thing with all the water, making sure. And then we hung out and read the Bible that night. And then I woke up the next morning, and his roommate, we were sitting on the couch, and his roommate came in and was like, and I was like, hi. And he was like,
makes sense.
He was like, checks out. And I just was like, I was immediately defensive, checks
You're
out.
What does he always bring
home a redhead? I just remember thinking, he didn't say anything about my hair. I was like, checks out. He always has a fucking girl home. Like what? Or I don't know, checks out. You think I'm a slut? I don't know what. I was like, really? What checks out? He's like, oh, no, that you're a redhead because I found a red pubes in my razor today. And I was like, oh my God. And the guy, his friend, the guy that I went home with, was like, what? And I was like, what? Huh? Imagine trying to deny that. You know what I mean? I was just like,
you're like, the service is really bad. He's like, I'm right here.
I was like, he's like, we're in person. I'm like, sorry, Zoom call ended. He's like, it's 2016.
He just run out.
Oh, just so mortified.
That's
honestly,
awful.
I gotta give it to him. They were hee hee ha ha. I mean, I can't imagine what they said after I left, and I can't imagine that they still probably talk about it to this day. I don't know, but
he actually is on a podcast talking about it.
Yeah, he's on a podcast somewhere. Gotta look into that. Gotta look into that. That's my confession.
Bless.
I know. And it was so much worse than it was. Imagine if he found it and it was his, like I originally thought. He would have probably just been like, well,
That's cute of her.
He probably would have still been like, what the because they were 20-year-old dudes. But the fact that it was his roommates, I was like, ay.
Oh, I'll never forget the first time just shaving off a massive bush, being like, I think this is what people do. We shave.
Gotta be right.
And then you don't know that all the hair is gonna stick around the tub.
No.
And so I was like, do, and my mom pulled me aside later that day.
She was like, you gotta rinse it off.
Hey, yeah. She was like, if you're gonna be shaving like that, you gotta rinse the tub after. I was like,
there's nothing worse than a mom being such a sweet angel mother. But she's telling you something like I don't know, just know when, and she always uses some word your privates, and you're like,
yeah, you're private. You're private.
Mom, stop.
Oh
but you're also
God.
Thanks.
I walked out of the shower one time. I don't remember. I was probably 19, and I walked out of the shower, and I had a towel around me, and she was like, "Oh, honey, your little nipples hanging out," and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, no.
Okay, tell everybody where they can find you and your podcast, and what they can expect if they listen to your podcast.
The PAP, the PAP
for short.
Probably podcast on Instagram. I'm probably Shannon, and really anything regarding the word probably, you could probably find something about me there. Yeah. Podcast is basically just really similar to yours, just living life, living, laughing, loving, talking about dating and embarrassing stories, and you guys will grow with me in the podcast. It's just everything. I share my life.
You and unhinged, but also being an adult and doing all the things.
Yeah, I remember talked about recently. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am buying a house. I don't have any money. Everyone know this right now. Stop spending your money.
Yeah.
You just got to be. It's a very transparent podcast. And honesty is forever there.
I love that. I love it. It's fun. I was a guest on it once, and I had a great time. Well, congrats with everything in the new friggin' house. I can't wait to come.
All the wine.
That is my housewarming gift. I'm going to bring you all of the wine.
Please. This is delicious, by the way.
Isn't it good?
Yes.
I love it, and a little chilled too.
Oh, I put ice in my red wine. I'm trashy like that.
I'm classy like that.
Ooh, cheers.
I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. Your session is now ending. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind a rating and review.